What's being unveiled in terms of President Kikwete's 5-year plan for his next 5 years in office?
Thank you very much. Kikwete gave a commitment that is going to commit himself to economic stability, improving the lives of the people of Tanzania, having won the elections that was held on the 31st of October. So he's reaffirmed his commitment to continue progressing the country, or to moving the country towards progress and stability, despite the various issues that emerge in the elections.
Now, key focal areas, we're told, are going to be agriculture, trade and industry, mining. How much emphasis is he giving to each of these key sectors?
I think it should be appreciated that over the last years, Tanzania has been able to attract a lot of foreign direct investment in agriculture, mining, infrastructure, and tourism. And he rightfully recognized that to move the country forward, he would have to redouble his efforts, and also he would have to rededicate and reaffirm his commitment around these areas. And so it is, of course, it's too early to tell how that will proceed, but I think by singling out these areas and recognizing the fact that these are some of the areas that have provided the bane of economic development in Tanzania over the last few years, I think, he correctly diagnosed or pointed out areas that are going to predominate his new administration.
Now, obviously, this is his second term in office, and in his first term, he was credited with growing the Tanzanian economy above 6%. The IMF believes that this economy can grow in the region of 6.7% in the next year. Is it going to be by retaining the same fiscal approach, or are we going to see some radical changes to try to really stimulate growth a bit more?
Essentially, is probably going to embark on a number of fiscal strategies to be able to redouble and continue with that. The only problem also is that Tanzania is highly dependent on foreign aid, so it would be important to note or to see how is going to stimulate domestic sector or homegrown solutions to be able to combat to catalyze the growth. Connected to that, of course, would be the commitment of the administration to fighting corruption and also putting in reforms that can be geared towards curbing corruption and wasteful expenditure. But I think it would be interesting to note, given the challenges that have emerged, on how especially they are going to deal with the issues of corruption and also to give confidence to the various sectors of the society. Let's
expand on this issue a little bit, please, Felix. We already know that Tanzania has a bit of a sketchy relationship with the donors. Together and collectively, multilateral donors slashed funding by over $200 million this year because of allegations of graft, because they felt that the government hadn't met on key deliverables such as reforming the agricultural sector and supporting private sector growth. What's the current relationship with those donors, and is the president committed to meeting on the deliverables for a re-engineering of the economy?
Well, going by what is happening in Tanzania now, just this week there has been a debate in Parliament that the former speaker was largely credited by, or was seen largely as pro-reform, so committed to the fight against corruption. There are allegations to the effect that Honorable Sita is being blocked by a reappointment or re-election as the Speaker of the National Assembly, is being blocked by key operatives within the ruling CCM. Of course, the explanation that has been given is to the effect that the country need to, for the first time, realize the pronouncement or commitment on affirmative action, and that that position should go to a woman. And a number of women members of parliament have actually been shortlisted, 3 if my recollection is right. But you will remember that Honorable Sita was presided over the debate that saw the former Prime Minister, Honorable Edward Lowassa, and 2 other cabinet colleagues who were involved in the $179 million energy scam. So these are earlier signs that the administration may not have gotten correctly what they need to do in terms of fighting corruption. But yes, the relationship with the donors have been strained, and for a country that is largely dependent on the donor aid, I think the new administration, and part of its legacy, because this is His Excellency Kikwete's last term, part of his legacy should actually be to rededicate himself to the fight against corruption, and also to ensure that mechanisms are put in place that can spur reforms and that can be able to be seen as credible in the fight against corruption.
Right. I'd like to bring our guest host into this conversation. A donor-dependent economy could potentially be one of the key players within the East African community, but overshadowed, some would argue, by Kenya and Uganda, quite protective of its economy to a large extent. And experts say 6.7% growth is good in terms of an African average, but for Tanzania to really transform, they need to be thinking a lot more ambitiously, gunning for 8%. What would they need to do differently?
Well, quite importantly is the mining sector, which is really emerging after the various discoveries. Therefore, we would like to see Tanzania making sure that it invests on energy so that it can exploit those mineral resources and beneficiate at home, because potentially it could create jobs, but more importantly, it could improve the living standards of Tanzanians and therefore lead to really diversified economy. But also must not estimate the linkages with Kenya, because as Kenya grows as well, it's going to have positive stimulus to the Tanzanian economy. So I hope they stay the course and they focus on beneficiation. They don't allow Anglo-American and other guys to take away all the gold and other commodities.
Talking about beneficiation, Tanzania is, after all, the 4th largest gold producer and also the 5th largest coffee producer. But we've already been told that in major producers like South Africa, it's already a dwindling resource. Although the price of gold has shot up, investment is often affected by a review of mining laws, which has been happening in Tanzania already.
Well, the mining laws are good as long as they create a stable framework, a predictable framework for investors. However, what is worrying is the fact that if they seem to be changing the rules of the game, then they can deter quite a lot of investors. However, we all know that the Southern African region is well endowed of commodities. Therefore, we need all to work together within the region to harmonize our policies, to make sure that all our policies are similar and really exploit for the benefit of the Southern African development community.
All right, Felix, back to you. Lumkile is arguing that we need to see a lot more of a concerted approach to infrastructure investment in Tanzania. And yet what we've seen in the previous administration of Jakaya Kikwete is lots of public spending on roads and energy. Has it paid off?
I think it has paid off. If you look at Tanzania and the emphasis on infrastructure was a project that was started by Kikwete's predecessor, His Excellency Benjamin Mkapa. But if you look at for a long time, Tanzania was the infrastructure, the state of infrastructure and roads, etc., was very, very bad. But the ambitious project to commit to lay a lot of emphasis on infrastructure, I think has to a larger extent opened up the country. There were certain times that you could access part of Tanzania through Kenya, and then you get to Kenya, then go back to Tanzania. But like he has pointed out, that obviously will open up jobs. It will the mining sector that has emerged as a very, very strong economic venture in Tanzania. Most of the mines are not in the capital cities. They are actually in the provinces or in the districts. And you need good infrastructure. You need good roads to be able to access that. Right. And so I think, and of course, the massive infrastructural investment come with the job creation, which also, to a larger extent, help alleviate the living standards, particularly, and unemployment, because Tanzania also has problems with employment. Right. So yes, I think to a larger extent it has paid off.